There is a way that you can more directly interact with the effects, with somewhat of the story, but we have some considerations that have been made on behalf of those of you who are fickle gods. So thank you for supporting the channel in that way too, as we continue to have fun and see where the story takes us. With that, Noralai, why don't we start with you? We left off, in the wagon here. You just left the highway and you've been going through some open fields for a while. What is on Noralai's mind?
Um. Well, she doesn't know the people they're looking for, so she's just kind of going along with it for now. Uh, but they said they'd help her find a brother, so she'll help them and they can help her. So that's
Okay, so you're just kind of along for the ride right now, seeing where it'll take you, and hopefully, it'll end up having you find your brother.
hmm
Okay. Let's go over then to let's say we have Noralai of the violet hair, and then we have Mordecai of the blue hair. Mordecai, what's going on in your world right now?
Well, things have definitely gotten interesting. Um, I found out that I don't necessarily have to suck the blood of humans to be able to survive, so that's a plus. Um, but it causes some interesting things to take place, and I'm not sure how I feel about it just yet. But yeah, we're tailing the people who took Tiba, and hopefully going to find them soon, so that we can rescue him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's pop over then to Jade of the not green hair.
Yes, yes, that's true. My hair isn't green. Are you asking, for what's on my mind? Is that what's going on?
Yes, Jade. If you would be so kind as to let us take a little peek inside what's going on with you.
There is hesitation. There is. My patron seems to be dissatisfied with me or my current condition. I'm not sure which. It is difficult to say. I'm just trying to make sure that we find the young boy taken by the Fanged Ones, and it seems one of our comrades has fallen to them as well. We've tracked them here, out on the road as far as I could follow them, and it wasn't until Bright was capable of finding the trail. Bright's ability to track magical means will serve greatly here, though it does end up making me wonder. My eyes are able to see things that most would forget, but that does not make them always useful, and sometimes the eyelids get in the way.
Yes. um, then let's jump over to Bright of the pink hair, whose ponytails act similarly to a bloodhound's ears in tracking.
Um, so first thing I want to say is, Norlai is purple, although I think she's actually violet, and she's black, and Mordecai is blue, and I am pink, which means that we are all color coded for the viewer's convenience. Uh, so, I mean, Jade is giving me, I think, too much credit for finding the trail because she's
Bloodhound!
yeah, because she's the one that found the trail because her magic sight is actually better than mine because hers works all the time. I think I can see a little more detail, but not always. I mean, it really just kind of depends on the situation. So I think she shouldn't give me too much credit because she's really the one who found it. But just like her, I'm really focused on getting Tiba back because I promised that we would keep him safe, and we haven't been able to keep our promise. We tried. We left him with Tazrae, who's really big and strong, and I thought Tazrae could protect him, but it didn't work out, and now we have to get him back before it's too late, so that's the most important thing. Okay, that's all. Bye.
Okay. No, don't scamper off. We need you. Very well. Let's put you all back out then on, well, in a field on the road. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're going to take you over. Not here, but I have too many maps open right now. I gotta delete some. Here we are. You're not in a village, but this is, this is road music. The mountains are always in the background here in Mesomasca. Whoop. Sorry, 1 second here. I'm getting everything zoomed and loaded. Here we go. All right. So yes, you were following information that Jade was able to glean from the deputy in Browbeat, who was a part of the posse that was chasing after the vamp wagon that came by, abducted Tiba, and put a beat down on Taz to the point where people thought he was dead. He probably was. But he came back and chased off after this group of vampires that had abducted this poor boy. Travel. You made your way to this very particular point. Jade, as a GPS, sounded like she broke a little bit. Although, she was giving you accurate directions, just in a different fashion. You went off-road, and bada boom, here we are. It looked like the wagon that was carrying everyone just vanished, or started flying, or something had occurred. And through Jade's all-around detection, as she can see now, this other world kind of layered on top of our own. Bright was able to fine-tune her pigtails and determine that it smells like a very powerful version of Pass Without Trace had been cast here, which is a spell that covers tracks and makes things very difficult to follow, without even more supernatural means of doing so, presumably. So here you are, the divots in the soft. In the mud and grass, as all the snow was melting, making everything rather moist. The divots and such are gone. You have been led on a direction which was continuing to the northeast. Generally, that is the direction in which Snam Phi, which is Tiba's home, is located. Though, once you lose a trail, if they're trying to lose people, there's nothing saying they couldn't veer sharply in one direction or the other. From here, then, I will hand it back to you all to discuss and decide what it is that you would like to do, where you'd like to go.
So what can so the magic, I could detect the residue from their Pass Without Trace, which means it's not really Pass Without Trace, it's like pass with the wrong trace. But, so, can I track that? Information do I have on that?
It may be possible, through some sort of magical triangulation, though until you actually make progress ahead of this spot where this spell was cast, it's you wouldn't have the opportunity to detect another point along the way.
What about the geography where we are?
The geography is rolling open fields. You're not far enough north yet where the flowers have come into play. And so it's hilly, open countryside, average travel speed. I mean, there's probably some trees and bramble, nothing like big forests. There might be like little ponds and whatnot. But this is countryside.
Okay. Well, so Jade and I can both see the residue. So, if we split up, and maybe if like one of us went closer to the road and the other one went farther away from the road, we could see side to the other, on which side and then we could signal. Like I could have Peggy Sue go tap her on the shoulder, and she could do that mind thing that she does, so that we can stay in communication.
Okay.
And then, if we split up like that and go to where either side of the pass without trace is, we can just kind of follow the trace along, because we know where they split off from the road.
Yep.
How tall is the grass around here?
Let's see. It's springtime. It has been getting water, so it's probably 5-6 inches high at this point in time. Not like anyone goes out here and mows.
Very well. If that's what needs to be done, then I will most assuredly end up aiding to the best of my ability. As tasty as Peggy Sue looks right now.
She looks less tasty than usual because she's a frog, and you usually just eat bugs.
Instead of frogs.
I didn't realize I was granted permission to go higher on the food chain.
You're not. At least not right now. But someday I'll turn her back into a cricket. I promise I'll turn you back into a cricket. I know you're getting tired of being a frog. And then when that happens, then you can eat other things besides bugs. You can eat whatever she's not. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down for a second. Might be plot relevant.
We'll fill in for Celine, who is driving the cart, as she volunteers to continue doing just that.
It's convenient that she's going to do something where she doesn't have to talk much.
Yeah. She really wants to focus on the phantasmal trail ahead. So she may not be speaking all that much, but she'll certainly be listening for directions you give her. Mordecai, a plan has been hatched by Bright. How would you like to participate in this? Or do you just want to be a passenger? What would you like to do?
Well, if we're kind of... How far apart is everybody going?
Well,
We don't know yet.
if has anything to end up doing with, I believe that it's leaving me within 30 feet. Let me double check here. Yeah, 30 feet.
We might have to split up further than that, but you can still talk to Peggy Sue, and I can hear what she says. He hears
People who think I'm talking to myself.
that anyway.
There's not really anyone around. Not that matters anyway.
I resemble that remark.
I'll stick with you, Bright.
That way, if the grass gets too tall, I'll still be able to see.
Yeah, you have a like a tripod. You can just sort of like ride on it. So you can go.
I was heavily disappointed that we did not invest in stilts of all the climbing gear we missed.
Noralai,
The
what
grass is only 6
would you
inches
like to
tall.
do in this situation?
Well, if we're splitting up, I guess I'll go with Jade, because otherwise she'll be alone, and that wouldn't be very nice.
Okay.
Jade, keep an eye on her.
Peggy Sue,
Do
you're
you
gonna
expect me
need.
to pluck it out of my eye socket?
No.
Then don't ask me to end such things. That's horrible.
So I want you to keep an eye on Jade and make sure that she doesn't get into trouble, and also keep an eye on Norlight because she's not very nice.
Right up.
I I heard that.
I think she intended for you to.
Mean. Mean people.
We're still learning to trust you, Norlai. Don't take offense.
All right, so Pouty Lips is left in the back of the wagon that is being piloted by Celine, and the two teams are going to split up in order to try and detect or detect by non-detecting a trail of magic moving forward. What I want to do then is let's have a bit of a skill challenge here. And I'm going to go through you all, go Bright, Jade, Mordecai, Norlai, and we're going to narrate our skills. So I'm going to set a situation up and ask how you want to approach it, ask which skill that you'd like to employ, and then you'll be able to roll, and you'll either succeed or not succeed along an arbitrary threshold that you do not know. And at the end of our skill challenge, we'll see what occurs based on everything that's happened. Now, there is how I run skill challenges, and because people may do this differently. This is going to count as this is going to be effectively its own encounter. You can use a skill no more than twice in the overall skill challenge. So while you are tracking magically, we can't always use Arcana, let's say. Now, something like Detect Magic isn't necessarily a skill. And you can use your attacks, you can use other senses and magic if you want to cast it. So this is going to be, even though it'll probably take hours or we'll see how long it takes, I'm going to time compress this into an encounter. For purposes of things like short rests and long rests and the ability to use abilities and other features. And this is a chance for you to be creative, and depending on your actions, you may either end up aiding or hindering another person's skill check because of something that has occurred. But...
For clarification, how creative do you want this to get?
Okay, so we're off the road, but let's say you were traveling down the highway and a log fell over there was a landslide or something, and there's a boulder in the road. You could very well just say, I'm going to use athletics, and I'm going to push the boulder off the road. Okay, that makes sense. Now, if you have some other skill, which could include your all's background skills that you have, if you have another creative way that you would use, I don't know, acrobatics instead to try and, I don't know, maybe you ended up getting like a lever of some kind. And so instead of using brute force to push it, you did like a series of gymnastic, like, you spun on the end of the lever and you're kind of doing like, I don't know, like tricks and you're like bouncing to get more weight. In that sense, your creativity, I could foreseeably allow you to use acrobatics to get a boulder off of the road. So really it would just be, I'm going to supply you a prompt, and you can think about how you would like to address the situation in some form or fashion, and then I'll be keeping a list of the skills that are used. That way we're not redundant, and it also does it may ultimately force a little bit of creativity, as everything can't just be done as in a brutish fashion, one way or another. All right, so Bright, we are going to pick up. You hatch this plan, and this could be an opportunity for you to set up a detection ring, or to act as some kind of a magical, triangulation where you're bouncing a signal magically, psychically amongst each other. You can do that, or you could just point forward and say, tally ho, and then you roll a survival or something. But this is that we're gonna pick up here. The tracks have just ended. There's a little whiff of magic in the air. You have a plan. What would you like to do?
I think the first thing I want to do is try to find out how wide the trail is and how far apart we're going to need to be. So I'm going to look on. Jade, do you have a preference if you want to be on the left side or the right side?
I'll be on the side that I'm needed on. It's already done. I'm
You know,
already
it's-
taking that side because you already chose that one. Or has
This
that
side.
happened yet?
I don't know. It's like when you move furniture, somebody has to be on the front and somebody has to be on the back, and sometimes people like one or the other more. But it doesn't matter. So I guess I'll be on the left side. Ahead, and we'll see how far apart we have to go before the magic trail becomes too faint to see. And we'll call that the edge of the path on one side, and then you can do it on the other side. And we'll see like how wide it is. Maybe it's like 10 feet wide, or maybe it's like 200 feet wide. I don't know, because I don't know their spell.
Okily dokily.
That
And with this plan, which skill would you like to employ to do this sort of research or to set up this plan?
I mean, I'm really just going by the sense from my detect magic. So if I want to pair a skill with that, I don't see how I can pair anything except Arcana.
Investigation could probably work. If you are going off of Jade has awakened mind, and if you two are staying within 30 feet of each other, communicating, well, it's at least a one-sided communication. You might even be able to get a way to use insight, especially with Jade's way of communicating. You can use Arcana for sure, but there's other skills that I think you could employ creatively.
Well, I can't. I mean, the whole point of this is to figure out how close we have to be, so we can't really use Awaken Mind right now. But, I don't know. I really think Arcane is the right choice here.
Sure, go ahead and go for it.
Good.
Hey. Okay. So Bright begins her grand experiment here in kind of it's not really telemetry. It would be I don't know. You can come up with some gnomish word for it. I believe in you. You start
She's doing
sensing.
trigonometry.
It's telepathic. Trigonometry.
Telepathic trigonometry. I'll have to try challenging myself to say that several times in quick succession here when we're finished. All right, you're calculating. I mean, there's nothing necessarily stealthy. You have a big wagon. I mean, the wagon's moving at your pace, but you have he and haw. You're out in the field anyway. And while the grass does come up 6 inches on you, Bright, so you have it's probably up to your not necessarily your knees. You're like 3 foot something. But it's a little taller for you, but you're relatively unhindered. And you're getting a feel for it, and you start off in a direction, and in the whiff becomes less distinct. In thinking about it, you're using Arcana, you're drawing on this. Okay, what could this mean? It seemed like there was where the spell was cast was a large, a singular event that left this arcane mark still floating around as it's dissipating. It is continuing for a ways that it's not like this happened in 2 seconds and you have no further information. You've been able to follow the trail continually in a northeastern fashion, and you have a smell. We were talking about bloodhounds at the end of last session, or you have you have a bit of a flavor. So while the magic by this point, you know, you're continuing on and it has dissipated. You may be able to use other divinations, other methods of reasoning in order to continue to track where the obvious magical or the obvious physical, as in observable, like seeing tracks in the road, where those have ended. You may be able to continue making calculations or come up with a different plan. But you've made some progress and you're continuing to the northeast. So they didn't... You can take that option that they just immediately either doubled back or immediately turned perpendicular to their path off the table. Jade. This is our state of events. Bright's plan seems to have borne at least some fruit as you've continued through the fields. And,
or strawberries.
Or strawberry. Yeah, that's true. Her plan is bearing strawberries. What would you like to do with the strawberries? How would you like to continue this this sort of pursuit, this kind of pressing on?
Jade continues to walk, so following there's the communication between Bright, and after a while she looks and ends up shifting. Her form becomes taller, her arms become far more slender, her torn up, patched cloak turns into this almost mercantile garb. For those who would be familiar, this is the spitting image of those vampires they already ran into on the road.
Okay.
Now, as she does so, she's thinking, I have to lose. I'm trying to distract. I'm trying to remove. There are people following my trail. There are individuals who may be coming. I need to lose them. I need to look. And she starts looking about. And what she's doing is she is emulating the steps that have been taken thus far and tries to follow along their natural progression.
You're getting like super into character then.
In which case I would like to make a deception roll.
Deception. Who would you be? I guess I get the gist. I'm not necessarily against it, but I guess I'd need a little bit of explanation about, because as you were describing this, my first reaction was, oh, you're going to go insight. But I'm open-minded to deception if you can maybe give just a little bit more of not just the build-up then, but the methodology.
The methodology, we ended up going this far. We ended up traveling by wagon. Now, despite the fact we can do pass without trace, that means that we can't end up going on grass or unknown thus far. If we could fly, we would have. If we were capable of taking the action, we have to remain on the road. We couldn't. If we could, we wouldn't have remained on the road for this long. The pass without trace would have remained. So we need another way to end up hiding our tracks continuing on. This would imply perhaps a hidden road or a sideline. This means that we've taken time. We've been around for a while, so that means we need to end up making sure that our ability to end up leaving, or leaving no trace, is more than just a magical whim, but something else.
Okay.
Which, if I'm going to do that, how do I do that?
Okay, I think I'm getting what you're going for, and I'm fine with that. So it'd almost be, I mean, really, it would just be the inverse of insight, or you're kind of looking for the negative space to give you the shape instead of looking for the actual shape,
Yes.
to do so. I am fine to allow this.
Now you understand why I asked, like, how far are you?
Yeah, no. This is role playing. This is creativity. This is exploring boundaries as we're telling a story. So yeah, I'm fine with you doing this. I will. You can roll straight up. I will give you an option here. While you're on the path, this is definitely off the beaten path thinking. If you're willing to give yourself disadvantage, if you I will be able to high risk, high reward in this case. I'll offer this to you since you're definitely going off the beaten path. So you can either go straight up, or you can willingly accept a disadvantage for the possibility of more information depending on how well you do.
High risk, high reward. Seems like Jade style.
Okay, then. So we're going to go deception at disadvantage. All right, so it's either going to be a 14 or a 14. Got it. All right. Jade, you've gotten into character. You look the part, and you're putting all of your resources into not just looking the part, but to being the part. This is something that, well, apparently you've done for some time, as your recent shifts in personality and perspective have shown. And you're thinking, all right, in this case, I even have the vampiric blood in me. I may not be one of them, but maybe I can call on something that's instinctual. As you've seen, Mordecai has this strong instinct inside of him that this gift ? Is providing. And in your role, you believe that they are making their way to Snam Phi for the purposes of ransoming Tibba Flowerfield.
Then that's where we go.
And in particular, you're also picking up that this is going to be, there's more than just money at stake. Money does help in a lot of situations. What do people like this, what would they need money for? If they're, again, you've been exposed to the information, at least from the Fae point of view, where, there's these entities that are waking up, they're returning, and Mesomasca seems to be a lodestone drawing people in. What else could they want or need? Money is always on the table, but there's some things perhaps that are even under the table that are a part of a transaction. And that much isn't coming to you, but in your instinct, in your gut feelings, you believe that there's more to this than just a simple ransom.
Thank you. Move on with it, mortal.
Okay, Mordecai, and so remember we're building off of the actions of the past of the other characters here. So Mordecai, Bright, by the time it's your turn to make this call, Bright has come up with her plan. She's following it, and she seems to really be onto something. Bright is shining very brightly in this case. Jade has really gotten into this big mood, to use the modern parlance here. And she's like, she looks the part, and she is the part. What are you doing now as this information has been brought up? You have an ultimate destination. Does that mean you have to... You're following a path, and you also have a destination. You could follow it. You could go around. You could stop and smell the roses. You could... there's all sorts of things. What is on Mordecai's mind?
Well, kind of taking a cue from Jade, just kind of haven't really done a whole lot of exploring about what it is that I am now, and perhaps that using whatever senses may come with that as the vehicle by which I want to try and track where they went, so we kind of already knew that they were headed towards Flower Field, at least in that direction. And so, kind of playing off what Jade was kind of looking into, kind of find the reasoning why they would want to ransom him for money or for like information or for like more of what that direction's going, I guess. With kind of an insight roll, maybe.
Okay. So you want the more okay. No, that's fine. Actually, so that could be complemented off of kind of what Jade was looking for, the negative space, and has found a shape, and you're looking for the shape itself. So go ahead and you can roll insight, and you can make this insight at advantage because of Jade. Jade was willing to take that risk and really try to find a needle in a stack of needles, and now that Jade has done so, you might be able to better identify things and get a more complete picture. So go ahead and roll insight at advantage.
That's a 20.
Alrighty. You reflect inside yourself. You reflect, maybe in part, you can see yourself in Jade, as Jade has taken on the mantle of being this vampire, of this creature, this thing from the past with an opportunity in the present to shape the future. And survival is coming to mind. In fact, you're having to deal with your own survival. You have your own limitations, and yet you have your own ways that you can break boundaries. But it requires survival in a world that is not necessarily friendly towards you. And as a part of this examination, even if you still don't like the condition you're in, you're understanding more about what it means to exist like this in the world. And the fact that you have people here who may not want to overtly destroy you. Although I think that you said... I think you made a pact, it might have been Bright even, that was volunteering to put you down if you ever went feral. But what they're doing here, with the intelligence that they have, this is setting up something for not just the emergence of their kind, but for the survival of their kind. A 20, with a 20, as you pick up the thoughts and emotions, you look up even at Celine as a part of this, who's been somewhat possessed by the Fae, or is at least being used as a like a living consciousness, or a living moral compass for them. And you realize that vampires are people that have become supernatural. The Fae are something supernatural that are having to deal with being people. In this, odd mix of the two. And so the vampires are having to deal with the supernatural aspect because they're already used to being people as they once were. There's probably something supernatural at stake when it comes to survival. And that could be a further clue or something to think about. Noralai. We're having some thoughtful moments. Bright is over there she's at her, she's doing all sorts of magical calculations leading the trail. We've had Jade and Mordecai act as kind of a yin yang with each other here to provide insight and guidance. What would you like to do in this situation?
Well, first off, I saw Jade kind of transform, and I thought, hey, I can do something like that. So.
Aha.
I just kind of like, while we're walking, just pull out a different mask and switch it before she can see.
Okay.
And we're looking, so I'm thinking, I'm not the best at finding things, but Yuri, you have a good sense of smell, don't you? And I would like to use the animal handling to ask Yuri to try to sniff them out.
Well, Yori's just a pet, correct?
Yeah, he's just a pet.
So in this instance, as it's not something like a homunculus or a familiar, animal handling, I don't think would be able to really provide too much information in this case, unless you had a way to either awaken him or create some kind of use magic for some sort of a psychic bond, or there's a spell that actually lets you see through an animal's eyes. In this case, it would even be your pet's eyes.
I was just thinking kind of like not really like a dog, but kind of like tracking like, hey, do you smell anything? I mean...
Unless, I don't know, in this case, unless there's something magical backing it up for Yori, as... I mean, I don't know if really he's ever been used as a tracking snake before. It would, I don't think that this would work in this particular instance.
I feel like she would go ahead and ask him anyways and not get an answer.
Well, that's fine. I mean, Yori will just sort of slither around and occasionally flap its wings. It's happy that on this cold spring day to really just be able to have your body warmth to help keep it going.
Alright, other than that. Other than that, I'm not the best at tracking things. So maybe I'll just go ahead and... Because Arcana was only used once. Maybe go ahead and be like, I know a bit about magic.
Mm-hmm. And how would you want to use Arcana then?
Probably just, because Bright kind of let us know that there was a spell. So probably just use Arcana to see if I can find, without using, detect magic, evidence of such magic going on that... I don't know how to describe it, actually. Yeah.
Well, magic was detected, and magic has since faded. So there was a direction. There was something initial. If you want to work with Bright, you could. I mean, she did very well with her Arcana. If you want to roll Arcana, that might provide an advantage. But I would like to know what you would like to do to set up some sort of theory or resonance or some kind of magical network with Bright. If you want to work with her in that case.
Well, I'm not with Bright. With Jade.
You are, but I mean, Bright is not inaccessible. Occasionally she might hit a patch of weeds and you just see like a little pink thing of hair just bobbing through the grass and then she emerges from it, but she's still around. Yeah. There's a large open field So there's plants, there's animals, there's weather. There's just, who knows if someone has laid an ambush for you. You can try and make sure that you're not being followed or observed, or that you're not about to fall into a giant pit trap. I mean, Bright brought up the fact that some people have the ability to mask a countryside to look like something as one thing instead of another. There's all kinds of opportunity out here for you to either work with another person in the party or to act on your own and provide support.
Okay. Actually, could I use dancing lights and use them to kind of analyze things closer and move them around, and maybe if someone is ambushing us, they would see the lights and it'd get too close, and then maybe they reveal themselves or we see them.
So it is daytime. Not that your dancing lights still can't take on a humanoid form, but they're not going to be casting a bright light in and of itself as the sun is already out. And you can look at your spell list to find ways to use other skills creatively as well. Like, I would allow dancing lights to let you think more flexibly about a particular skill. I mean, if you didn't have dark vision and you were on watch, and you say, well, I want to use perception to make sure we're not, ambushed in camp, then yeah, you could have your dancing lights kind of scan around and help give you a perception, even if you'd be at disadvantage or not be able to make it at all. But this is an opportunity to think creatively about your skills and how you'd like to use them. Let's look at it this way. Which skills are Norlai, does she have a proficiency in?
Arcana, persuasion, sleight of hand, and stealth.
Okay. There are ways that with stealth, you could help cover tracks of yourself, or if you want to go out scouting on your own. Now, I think you did promise not to run away, and Mordecai's been kind of keeping an eye on you. Sleight of hand. You could do a lot of things with sleight of hand. That's fine manipulation. That could be taking something apart, putting something together. That's delicate. That could be a whole lot of uses besides just picking a pocket.
Okay. With stealth, would I be able to kind of, hey, I know how to cover my own tracks. Could I see if tracks have been covered by non-magical means?
Yeah. You could use your knowledge of moving stealthily to see if there have been any, not just magical, but if there have been any physical signs at this particular point in time. Yeah, I would allow something like that if you'd like. You could even use, because we're in a bit of narrative time right now, you could even take your stealth and apply it to the party and not just yourself, by trying to give people advice on how to move in a particular way, or even if you wanted to go into the mental exercises of what Jade was doing, you could use your own stealth and say, well, if I was moving stealthily, what would I do? So I think you have a lot of options here with stealth. How would you like to proceed?
I think I'd go with the self-mental. How would I go about doing this, kind of way?
Okay, so Jade was really searching for the more of the existential questions regarding the vampires here, and you're going about more the practical means. Go ahead and you can roll a stealth check in order to try and put yourself in their shoes. Not a 7, but twice that, in fact. Okay.
For the 14 team.
In all of your practice sneaking around and hiding, anything that the wagon or the occupants or even the undead horses that pull it are doing they're almost gonna have to be magical in terms of moving stealthily, of being able to suppress noise and reflections. Because out here on an open field, in fact, you're even considering dancing lights for a moment. You could see a shine off of some metal from a good distance away if it reflected into your eyes. And so magic would almost exclusively have to be employed here for the main body. That said, just as you're doing, there may very well be people who have split off from the wagon and could be doing something else on their own or to follow in the wake of such a thing. You might find physical evidence because they're no longer covered by the spell. You haven't yet, but you're dealing with a magical version of stealthing through the open countryside in order to suppress numbers, in order to suppress other information that could be picked up along the way. Similar to, if you're really sneaking around, you're going to want soft leather or even some cloth boots or shoes. Otherwise, if you're stealthing, or if you don't want to stealth, you could wear some big, heavy, like iron ones that go clunk, 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 and it'll make you sound bigger and more ferocious than what you are. So there's a lot of possibilities that are coming to your mind, Noralai, in your practiced brief life of sneaking around and doing this and that with it. All right, we're going to come back up to Bright. And you've continued to make progress. There seems to be an ultimate goal of heading to Snamfi. And the others have given some insight into the vampires. And Noralai has, if you trust her, determined that anything is going to really be highly magical in order to cover up what they're doing.
Okay, well, I knew that, but okay, so we're gonna go ahead and so out of character, when I did the scan, right, we got like a big ping at the start of the trail.
Yeah.
And then it kind of faded off as we went. So take that to mean that the magic trail isn't really a thing that we're gonna be able to follow much further.
Correct. It has been fading since that initial, probably that point of casting, where the energies were manifested to provide the effect, and then it's going from there. It has gotten fainter and fainter as you've been traveling.
But wait, how far did we follow it?
You've traveled. Again, this is narrative time. But we're moving at your walking speed effectively, since we're creating this kind of net. So you've gone 4 miles.
Well, that's pretty far. That's actually really good news, and we're pretty far away, well away from the road then.
Yes, yeah, you are.
I would like to use. And I'm gonna call out to the local wildlife. Maybe there's crickets. I get along pretty well with them. Or if there's not, there could be field mice or even little birds. Little birds would be great because they can fly and they might have a wider range of vision. But I'm going to ask the local animals if they've seen anyone go by in a wagon. And look, here's a wagon. Celine is driving it. Hi, Celine. Thank you for driving the wagon.
She gives a silent nod.
Like this, in the past couple of days, because we're pretty far off the road, and most of the wagons are on the road, so this is unusual, and I think hopefully maybe the animals would remember it. A lot of wagons here.
Okay.
Maybe Piggy Sue can help me, cute, and telling the animals to trust me, although usually they do.
Is this going to be a persuasion to try and coax some information out, or how would you like to filter this?
This is what I was thinking.
Okay, go ahead. Whew.
Anyway, that's not bad.
No, that's not bad at all. All right, with a 21 persuasion, you take some time. There are some birds that are chirping around, and you ask everyone to stop for a moment, and you give a little tweet, 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 and a couple birds, kind of fly around and are chittering. It's a lot of look. Birds, they have this thing for a lot of small talk in the beginning, and you just got to get through that because it's cultural. And of course, they talk about the weather too. I mean, it's just
Very important to birds, especially the wind. That's a big deal for them.
So you're chatting with them. I mean, for the other three of you here, again, because Celine's taking this moment. She's taking a trip behind a tree here. So unfortunately, she's not here for the conversation. But Bright, kind of like a Disney princess here. A couple birds are swirling around her. Landing on her finger, or I guess on her hand, or I mean, however, because she's smaller.
I don't have any birds. All I have is this little dragon.
Hey, all right. So yeah,
It's the same dragon I used to stand in for Piggy Sue, and I didn't have a frog.
We'll say then that it may there's a local type of bird that tries to naturally camouflage itself as a dragon with green feathers. Though, of course, the big thing is a size difference. But it's a bird that at least kind of looks like a dragon due to natural camouflage, because they recognize them as a superior being to try and frighten people off. It probably works to bugs. The bugs will just flee in fear from these dragon birds. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of small talk. So chirp chirp, and they're you're talking with them. You convince them, number one, that you're willing to abide by their small talk, and two, they, now that you're pointing out a wagon to them, they do remember seeing such a wagon when they were flying around. It was a little bit more to the north of here.
Okay.
But they do remember seeing something like this, and the birds thought it was odd, since most wagons stick to that stone snake on the road.
Is that precise enough information for us to get an idea of where they went?
It's precise enough that you're not on their trail per se, but they were passing through the region. It sounds like they were traveling a little bit more northward than where you're currently at. But given a big wide open field, I mean, some drift it's going to happen.
Hello, everyone. Everyone, the birds said that it's a little bit. Do we have any idea like how far they might have gone?
No, the birds really don't have a sense of, they have a territory that they fly in, and they were able to indicate that in their own bird language that it was more to the north, but they really don't have units of distance or the like.
Okay, well, I'll just tell everyone that the birds say that they went north a little bit of where we are, and maybe if we go that way, we'll find some sort of natural terrain that might have formed an impromptu road.
Okay. Let's go over to Jade. There's more information that's come to light as you're continuing to progress.
As we end up approaching the edge of that territory, because I think that's about as far as we can accurately track, to continue this route, Jade will end up using Bright as a mediator. However, Bright's far more formal than Jade. Jade has her own methodologies, especially now that she is taking on the guise of a predator.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. At this point, she expresses to Bright to translate the idea that, okay, we're looking for a wagon, such and such, and if Jade gets so much as a thought that it doesn't take much, that they're being flippant or it doesn't really concern me, she proceeds to throw it into her mouth.
Hey, So I'm not going to help you eat the little animals. That's
It's
not
waiting
what it's
until
for.
it's about to get the information. Then when she thinks, "Oh, you know so much more, but you're not really taking me seriously." Not biting down yet.
Oh, I don't think
The chirps might be muffled.
I don't like that plan.
I like to use intimidation.
Well, you'd have to capture the birds first to do something along those lines. Because the birds are more or less favoring Bright, who is brightly colored and speaking to them. So access to the birds, unless you're going to do some sort of magical compulsion to them, they're going to have an avoidance of anyone else, not just Jade. But they came expressly because of Bright's call and are interacting with her. Yeah.
All right, scrap that plan then.
I mean, you could Eldritch Blast one, and then you could pop it in your mouth, but it won't be talking.
Just fly away.
I'm just gonna quietly release Yori to go hunt. By the way.
Okay.
They're everywhere. So it's just on in the background.
Good try persuasion. Animal hand.
We'll say by this point in time, we're entering evening. As you've been traveling over the land for hours and hours throughout the day, you still have it. It would still technically be bright light out, but we're entering into the evening hours, so shadows are growing longer. A wagon had been detected in a number of days ago, appropriate to their getaway on the day of the snowfall.
Have we started running into another trail yet? Has the potential spell worn off by this point?
I was just about to say that.
That's a very good question. As you have been traveling for the majority of the day, it sounds like were you all taking a northward bend? Were you telling Celine to do that, or do you want to travel at a parallel?
I don't think I quite followed the question, truthfully.
Cut out for me, so I don't know what that was.
Oh, it cut out. Okay. Do you want to bend your course north, or do you want to continue on the course that you're taking?
Said we should go north, so
Okay.
I would definitely want to do that. I mean,
Sir
it's not
hasn't
my,
lied to me yet, so I do agree with that.
Then
not my turn. But
then Jade-
what I think we should do is like circle around and head to the north, and maybe somebody could use nature or survival who's good at those things, because I'm not, and maybe try and pick up a mundane trail because we might be out of range of their pass without trace now.
Then Jade,
what I would do.
as you have shifted course, and it has been several hours. You've been traveling for most of the day now in the open fields, and we're in this special narrative time. You do have a latent detect magic that you can put up, but a concerned effort to find a path now that you're in perhaps more of a local region has not been made. So if you want to attempt that, then you may very well do so, since you're in a new part of the field. Time has passed, and you have a little bit more information to help you focus on the wagon.
So make the call, make the roll. I don't have many ideas right now, so. What roll would you like me to make?
If you want to physically try and track, that would be survival.
There we go.
Okay. Jade breaks off and is looking around the terrain. It's a lot like the same. It's all open grasslands here, but as you've been drifting north, Jade, you're not finding any evidence in your little part of the field here that there has been physical tracks. You could still need to go north. I mean, if you're already doubting the birds before, what do birds know? They don't even have units of measurement. They'll just tell you like a tree and kind of point in a direction. Okay, Mordecai. Course has been shifted. Jade seems a little baffled at not finding any new evidence of this wagon. The trail might be getting cold. There could be another solution, or there could be just despair all around you as the shadows grow even longer. What are you doing here, Mordecai?
Well, I definitely want to try and, if the trail is starting to go a little bit cold, try and see if there's something else that we could follow. I definitely want to try and see if the trail is in fact going cold and we're not picking up any tracks or anything like that. But at the start of the game, I did get a vial of luciferase.
Yep.
And I kind of want to use that and see if that's effective at all.
Okay.
Try and open senses to try and pick up on them.
Sure. All right, Mordecai. You did pick up the bottle of luciferase, or luciferase, and given your insight that you made prior, you're probably going to have to take this with blood in order to get its full effect, since it does affect seemingly only tieflings. This is a chemical that has a particular interaction with tieflings. However, because you are not just a tiefling, but your body, your metabolism is different now. So you will have to dip into you had your pint back at the Cleaver Girl. Maybe Jade would be willing to part with a cup of blood in the barrel that she was given. But you will have to take the luciferase with blood, you think, in order for it to get through your body and to be accepted into it.
Sounds fair.
How much blood do you need?
Probably just enough to get it down.
Is Bright volunteering to donate?
Donation. Just a little. Not just to save a trip back to the wagon, because it's not very far, but maybe my blood would make it more powerful.
Ooh,
Wait,
all right.
you want me to bite you?
Bite me, but I'll cut myself, and you can maybe have a drink, because it's fresh, and I'm magical, and you're looking for magic, and it might just work a little better. I don't know.
All right, so she's gonna offer you like, here, kind of whoop, little cut, and ngong 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 ngong.
That's definitely weird.
I thought you appreciated this kind of intimacy.
That face.
I usually go for a first date first.
Well, apparently this time you're
Wait, you guys are
skipping the middle gym.
Oh,
You're skipping the middle gnome.
Okay, so Mordecai, little Bright over here, cuts her finger, and a very bright red blood wells up, and she, maybe it's because her heart is fluttering or something. She offers you her finger or wherever she cut. I don't want to make a presumption, and you can.
The sea game, so we always have to cut down the middle of the hand.
Okay.
That's how it's always done.
All right, so she's gonna offer you. Apparently, she has blue blood in this example here, but she's gonna offer you a drink, and you can hold you can take the luciferase and then drink from her. As this is occurring, Mordecai, you're getting that thrill of blood, and it does seem that this drug is carried on the medium of Bright's own blood, and everything just seems to have an aura around it. I mean, your hearing is excellent. You can smell, you can smell like distant mosses or flowers that are growing, and you can pick like, oh, this is a rose, and oh, this is a daffodil, or like you can break down the information that your senses that the senses are coming to here. And you didn't take enough blood to get you to Hulk out per se, because I mean you didn't drink a big cup of warm animal blood here. You just sort of nibbled on Bright's gnomish blood. But you're definitely, you have like any hairs on the back of your neck are kind of standing up, and you just have this like tingle all around you as your senses completely open up.
With that, I was hoping to kind of pick up on the scent of either Tazrae or the vampires or Tiba.
Okay. You can make a perception at advantage. Woo. So,
23.
yeah. Well, it's a good thing you decided to load up, at least here in the immediacy, with a 23. And you take a moment, and you are, your nostrils are flaring here, and yes, you actually smell. You smell Tiba. It's faint, but you can smell it, and for as much as magic may cover the tracks of the wagon, or even the occupants inside, it would seem at some point in time, Tiba had to use the restroom. And, well, there's not really a restroom on a wagon. And so he probably hopped out, and the vampires let him relieve himself, like, behind a bush or whatever. Because, look, they don't have to use the bathroom, necessarily. Nor do the horses. There's really no food or waste except that which their living passenger has had to produce. And that's something that if he wandered away in some modesty, even if there was a spell active, he was probably out of range of that spell. And so you're actually detecting from the direction the wind is blowing. I mean, it at some point in time he got out and he took a whiz behind a bush. So you're on to something here, Mordecai, as you've opened yourself up, and now that you've done so, your senses are also going to be overloaded for a while here as you're recovering, because you're really going to have to, like, you have to put something over your face and your eyes, because the light is so bright, and you almost have the ability to almost go through, like, the spectrum. If you want to see reds, you want to see yellows, you want to see greens. It's not giving you ultraviolet or infrared or anything, but you can almost fine-tune your rods and your cones in your eye. However that works on a tiefling, because you don't have pupils, so I don't know how the light's even getting in there. But that's a biology lesson for another day. This is your first time taking Lucifress, and everything, like, there's a point too where even the little birds that are kind of flying around, or you'll hear other, like, little bugs and whatnot, like, it just becomes not necessarily overwhelming, but this is its own struggle. And as you're so sensitive now to everything, you are spilling out these kind of sparks that have started to occur, after this, after your first, like, major imbibing of blood. If you're exposed to sunlight, you've been throwing off these sparks or these sparkles here. However, what is different is at least they are coming off in a pink color, not just sort of like a yellowy firelight like a amber color.
I'm gonna do what I can to follow the scent.
Okay. Norlai. Mordecai, the doped up predatory tiefling vampire here, is on the trail.
I'm gonna keep my distance, cause yeah, don't like that. Don't like that at all.
And what would you like to do then? You can. There seems to be a direction that you could assist in. There are supplementary things that you can do in order to continue making progress as we're telling the tale of tracking a wagon of vampires.
Well, I mean, if he's going that way, I guess the party would just kind of follow. And I'm just gonna keep my distance. I'm not helping him. He has this covered.
Okay. How would you like to contribute to whatever's going on here? It is getting to be nighttime now. We're in low light. The sun is no. I mean, that doesn't affect you. You're a tiefling, at least not as much. But it is getting dark. We would be getting to a point where he and Haw are going to be reaching some level of needing a rest for the day, unless you have some sort of restorative ability to give to them to press on. There's all sorts of things that can be done here. Pouty Lips, the merchant, is awake, and he's rather quiet, though. Presumably Jack is still inside him.
I don't think I do it. I mean, I can cast dancing lights for the non-dark vision people.
You can, though. I'm that can be a part of considerations that you can cast dancing lights and so they can be out there. What sort of creative outlet for a skill would you like to use? Really, everything is still on the board because of all the skills used, they've been different. So all skills are still open to meet that 2 threshold here.
So, I mean, so we're still searching. We weren't thinking of stopping because it was getting dark.
You all are going to have to stop soon. Unless there's a way you can keep the donkeys going through the night, they're going to have to stop and rest themselves. But there's a scent on the wind. There's a direction. There's motivation. You're putting a lot of clues together. The trail has once again reignited.
Does anyone have any donkey frizz?
I don't think I mean, if we're still searching, I can do like the stealth trail again, but other than that, I thought we were gonna have like a long rest or something.
I don't want to stop because, I mean, until we absolutely have to, because Mordecai's Lucifer's is going to wear off, and that's a really big help. And I still don't think we have like actual like wagon wheel ruts that we can follow, right? We're not that
Correct.
good yet. Yeah. So, I mean, I would hate to stop and risk the trail getting colder unless just like the donkeys or somebody just won't continue.
Oh, jeez. I thought we were just gonna follow Mordecai.
Do you have any particular spells that you could employ in a creative fashion? Or that can aid in going through a skill of some kind? There's a lot of different roles that can be made.
Not. I mean, other than dancing lights, not really.
You can always try and recall if something like this has happened in the history books, or if perhaps some sort of a religious figure faced a conundrum like this in a religious text. There's various knowledges you could try drawing upon. There's arcana for sure, but there's other knowledges that you can draw upon. You can use physical skills, because it doesn't just have to be about your character. It could be a way that you can apply a personal physical skill to others. There's, so think outside the box with your skills here. If you wanted to use stealth, you could, and that would use up both instances of it.
I think I'll just do stealth again, because I don't really got anything in particular that's helpful in this situation.
Okay, Norlai. So you're going to once again, and a 16. Okay. Noted. There doesn't seem to be any new clues that are emerging. As you're thinking about how to move along, everything still seems to be magical. Again, though, looking for wagon ruts in an open field, you might eventually come across it, because even if the mud or the damp grasses and soil has dried, you're still going to see the divots that were left behind. So it's good evidence. Where you're currently at, though, you're not finding evidence of that. And so it seems as if they were still relying on magic, though they did, with a 16 in stealth, because Mordecai was able to detect Tibba in this fashion, it would show that at least this group aren't particularly knowledgeable about, maybe even about magic per se, because they allowed something to go outside of a spell that would otherwise cover tracks, which could include bodily sense. And of course, I mean, it's difficult to hide a wagon being pulled even by undead horses. But it would show that their knowledge of magic or even stealth, which requires magic, is going to be lower. So once you find them, you might be able to have an easier time tracking them, because they're really just relying on a spell, but that spell, they're not even aware of how to maximize the use of it other than it exists and they can employ it. So this could possibly give you a future bonus of some kind, should you run across information where this is useful. Oh, hey, One Crit, thank you very much for the raid with your viewers. Welcome, and I hope that you're having fun over on your place. Okay. So, it is nighttime, and you all, if you want to push the donkeys, you can. But it'll be either rest now, and you get 2 days of medium, or you'll get like a day and a half of pushing, and then the donkeys will be out for a while here, in some way. I think. Oh, and hello, Shiny Fire Fry, welcome. Oh, and thank you for the follow too. As I'm going to be taking the part or playing the part of Celine, I will have to think and act appropriately here. Celine says that if you do want to press on, she has a way that she can lift exhaustion from the donkeys, as they would be exhausted for traveling so long. Though, and of course, because their owner, Pouty Lips, is under Jack's control, or Jacques, perhaps. Oh, hey, Physaris, it's been a while since I've seen you. Welcome back. So she says it's really your call. Pouty Lips isn't going to make an issue of it, because Pouty Lips is being possessed by Jacques. And she does have magic that can at least buy a little bit more time with the donkeys, because she can magically soothe their muscles and relieve their exhaustion from pushing on. it would be your call on what you want her to do. Otherwise, we're at a stopping point where you can camp for the night, or you can continue pushing into the night and have Celine and kind of like do your suggestion there, Bright, and use this drug to kind of the drug known as magic to jack up the donkeys and keep them awake and pushing forward even through the night.
I don't think that's very nice.
I mean, it's fine because it's not like a forced march. She's actually relieving their exhaustion, so they'll feel fine. It's not gonna hurt
Yeah,
them.
but it's still kind of mean.
We don't want to lose the trail. What little clues we have.
Yeah, but it's mean to the people. I mean, they're still gonna be tired while they're walking. They'll just not be tired after.
I don't know. I mean, Celine seems to think it'll be okay. I mean, I would never do anything to hurt an animal, if on purpose.
Really?
Anyway, yeah. That's why the little creatures, that's why they trust me, because they know that I wouldn't hurt them. Also, I mean, Piggy Sue was my friend for a long time before she was my familiar.
Does anybody smell burnt snake?
No.
Mordecai you can, because he has the magic drug.
Mordecai, you're still under the influence here, and it's amazing. Like, you can tell the direction of the wind just by hearing it blow through the grass. You're like, oh, you're inside the wagon and you hear that there's a northerly wind just because you can hear the grass blowing in that direction around you.
This is interesting. I don't want to lose that trail, though.
I think, especially since the Lucifers is going to wear off, and the donkeys are going to be fine, it doesn't seem like a good time to stop right now.
Selena's willing to push on. She's being very accommodating to you all this session.
It's really up to you three, since you're the ones who need sleep.
I don't feel very tired, unless I feel tired. Do I feel tired?
Well, you have been trudging outside the wagon for most of the day, so I don't know how. I don't think you're too physically capable. So your legs are probably achy. Maybe you got a cramp in a calf muscle or something. So it has been a day of walking for you all as well, because you haven't just been inside the cart. You all could push on. You're not going to be as tired as the donkeys will be, because you weren't doing a forced march, let alone the donkeys. So you could probably continue. You're just going to be sore in the morning.
I don't mind being a little sore. I mean, if we can get the trail, that's worth being sore. For
I
sure.
don't mind to be warm, though that's not possible in my current state. I think the mortals need to be rested, save for us encountering something hungry by the time we end up finally catching up. And I would rather not end up risking you simply because we were fearful of losing a trail.
No.
And for as much as Mordecai is enjoying his trip, I think right now it would be best to end up stopping now, lest he grow hungry and we would be short one merchant.
What if we send Mordecai to follow the trail and we rest and we'll catch up with it?
I'm not
Actually,
sure.
that might actually work.
Send Mordecai out to hunt in the night? Okay.
Yeah, because he doesn't need to sleep, and he's the one with the Lucifers.
And I have a spell that would make him go even.
That could be useful too.
Okay. All right. So
You can take Peggy Sue with you. I wouldn't be able to actually see through her eyes when she gets very far away. But if you need anything, you can just give her a little poke, and she'll run back and tell us that something happened and where you are.
I won't go very far. I'm not going to leave all of you.
I would hope not.
I'll stay up for the first watch, even.
Okay.
Watch. I would rather take the first watch while you're out scouting, and then you can watch when you come back, because you're still not going to be tired.
Either way.
I don't want to lose the trail, and I don't want to waste the Lucifers.
I agree. I'll definitely be on my guard.
Well, take Piggy Sue with you, and I'll watch through her eyes while Mordecai's close enough. But when he's out of range, then you'll just have to give her a little poke, and she'll come back. And Peggy Sue, if anything bad happens, come right back, okay?
Right up. Right up.
Okay. Are you going now? Because this doesn't last too long.
Yeah, do what you're gonna do.
All right, Norlai, you're casting.
Let me cast. Why is this not letting me cast?
Is it,
Let me cast that.
well, there's dancing lights.
Well, no, I cast that to test, but it's not letting me cast.
Is it expeditious retreat?
No, it's haste.
Haste.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, I don't know why it's not popping up here. Maybe there's a derp or something through whatever the server for information is here.
I can just copy paste the description.
That's fair. I know what haste does.
Okay.
Speed's doubled for a minute, you get +2 to AC. So if you get ambushed, you're fine. And you have advantage on dex.
Sweet.
All right. Off you go then. Ready, set, and Norlai casts haste on you. And now, especially with this magical enhancement to your body, Mordecai, it's really odd because you're feeling your muscles like slide against each other, pulling on your bones, and really just like everything, like the vibration of your footsteps, like working up your body, like even out to like being dispersed at your horn tips out of your head. Like everything is just is sensory around you. You feel everything. You are physics, and you're experiencing it. And boo! Into the night, our hopped up vampiric tiefling Mordecai goes.
Swords at the ready, obviously.
He's gonna go scout around, and you all are setting camp in a watch. So here, oh, okay.
I cast Mage Armor on Mordecai as he heads away.
Okay.
Oh, that's not actually going to do anything. I'm wearing armor.
I didn't have armor. Oh well.
Oh, I have leather.
Didn't have any armor. Okay, never mind then.
13 plus dex. So that's going to be... Well, that'll be greater, so he could choose to take your mage armor, right? Or does it has to be...
Oh, it says he has to not be wearing armor.
Ah,
I thought he
gotcha.
didn't have armor because of something that happened in the...
Well, I mean,
Society,
Mordecai, if you
but
want to
we
throw
must-
off your leather armor or something and just go... You know, do you just really want to howl at the moon and, like, strip your clothes off and just run like a savage through the grasslands at night? Like, hunting down vampires as a vampire yourself?
How long would it take for me to take off the leather?
Doffing armor is like a minute.
If we wanted to plan this, like, in that order.
Yeah, we're in
both
narrative
passing at
time.
the same time after I take it off.
Sure.
Yeah, because
I'm alright with that.
And invisibility.
I know it doesn't take long.
Okay. Well then.
Holy heck.
Yeah, you're creating a monster here is really what you're doing. All right, so
Super tiefling.
so Mordecai, yeah. All right, you take your leather armor off. It's just you in I don't know, whatever you're wearing, if you got pants or whatever. It's your own morals and values here. You can describe it, but we'll just say you're not wearing your leather armor, and everyone here is ready to help you. For a moment, your entire body sort of like sparkles pink, and then it sort of fades away as you have this mage armor surrounding your body now. And then Jade comes up and gives you sort of an encouraging good game with a touch and casts invisibility on you.
Can I describe this a bit?
Yeah, please.
Jade wishes him best, placing a hand on the back. And what you start to see is his skin starts to seem to peel out away from his face and his chest, and his skin or his clothes seem to tear backwards, and then the muscle seems to recede behind his bone.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
the bone starts to like dissolve in the air, almost as though it's dust fading away.
Okay.
You might mistake this for a disintegration spell.
Gotcha. So he's becoming invisible in layers, like his skin layer, his muscle layer, his skeletal layer. Got it. I love that, man.
At one point, it was
For a
just
second,
portal organs walking around.
For a second, Mordecai was very, very concerned.
Yeah, you. Jade comes up and gives you a touch, and you start like peeling back. You turn inside out into nothingness here. All right, so you have this scintillating pink shield around you. You then start turning invisible. Noralai, I think you have to for haste.
It's range now.
Oh, it is range. Okay, never mind. Okay, and Mordecai's just in shirt and pants here.
Safe distance.
And you say, ready, set, go, and you cast haste. And Mordecai, you just go tearing off into the countryside.
We just see like grass parting.
Yeah, just and yeah, it's you see and hear grass parting, and he just dashes into the dark night here as you're setting up camp. Bright is going to take first watch as he and Ha are taken off from the wagon and probably tied to it or hobbled in some way to make sure that they can feed but not go off. All right, so Mordecai, you're tracking. It's dark. Not that that's stopping you. Everything just kind of goes to black and white. Although with the Luciferus still in your system, you actually are seeing. You're seeing very pale colors, like we're talking pastels. So you actually can see some color in your dark vision while still under the influence here. It might have been more intense earlier, but you're kind of, you've been having this in your system for a while, and you only drank a little bit of Bright's blood. Like, she just let you suck her finger for a little bit. Or lick her palm, or, anything I say might sound a little lewd, so I'm just going to let you fill in whatever you want. But you can see pale color even in your dark vision while under the influence here. And you are now a hunter in the night. This is all you here, brother. Go ahead. We're out of our limitations for the skill challenge. So you can use perception a couple times here if you want. Although I, as a DM, reward creativity. So don't let perception just bottleneck you into this is the only thing I can do. I imagine you're running off in the direction that you picked up the scent on the wind. So tell me what Mordecai you're doing.
Definitely taking a big inhale of the scent and like making notes of anywhere that it did kind of deviates or any kind of instance in which I just pick up on it and just follow it as far as I can, as long as haste and invisibility go.
Sure. Make a perception at advantage. Woo! Look at that 24 max. Yeah. Now I want you to make an investigation at advantage because your mind is just whirring, and you're putting things together. All of the senses are providing you extra thinky bits.
That's
Just
also a
crit perception, crit investigation.
We don't
Okay.
need to continue any further. We just know exactly where to go from this point on.
Okay.
The dice have decreed.
That's 2 crits in a row. I'm so impressed.
All right. Your hunger is growing, but because you're scenting things, you're hunting things. This is getting your vampiric essence really percolating, Mordecai. And you track down to the very bush behind which Tibba was taking a whiz when he asked the vampires for a potty break. And you are you found it, and in looking around, it does seem like with your kind of enhanced dark vision, maybe it's the spell that was wearing off or already has, and it was just the conditions of the ground. You've dashed off, like you're like a mile or so away. Like you've actually like gone off on a tear. And you can see that there are wagon wheels depressions in the ground that do continue past this bush. And while you're out here sniffing around and investigating and putting clues together to find everything you did, which it would have been tough otherwise, to be able to see the tracks or to follow the scent, etc. Not necessarily behind you, but off a ways in a behind you-ish direction, you hear a growl.
I'm staying as still as possible. I'm still invisible.
Invisibility lasts
That's a minute, I think.
a minute.
I
No, it's a minute for haste. Invisibility is an hour.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
you're
nice.
definitely still invisible. Your haste has worn off, but that's what let you run like a mile in a minute, kind of a thing. I mean, you were just super speed. You're Mordecai the Hedgehog here. You're even blue.
At a mad dash, that's 120 feet for 6 seconds.
I can smell you. Come out. And there's a figure that is traipsing around. Come out. Come out.
I stay quiet.
You don't need to roll perception to see that even in the moonlight here, it appears as if Tazrae is walking past this point.
Tazrae.
His silver scales are gleaming in the moonlight.
Tazrae, it's Mordecai.
Mordecai? Where's ya?
I'm invisible.
Why?
Because I was tracking these things.
Well, I've been tracking these things.
Yeah, we've been looking for you.
I've been looking for the little boy.
You just happen to be in the same direction.
Mordecai, don't come close to me. Something happened to me. I've
Describe it.
been changed. I've been eating a lot more animals than I normally do.
Could you describe what these changes are?
I'm strong. I'm stronger than I've ever been, Mordecai. But I'm so hungry as well. And I don't... I don't have certain feelings, I think.
Like what?
I don't feel as in control as I ever had been. My instincts are coming out, Mordecai. I'm actually freer. The things perhaps I felt before were constraining me. And he's walking past the bush that you're kind of hiding in as he's looking around.
I kind of want to, like, inch away a little bit, just to...
Stealth? Well, are you
stealth,
trying to be
yeah.
stealthy? Yeah, you can stealth.
14.
Okay. He turns his head in your general direction. He doesn't seem to look down at you as you're kind of stalking around. Mordecai, I will do my best not to hurt you. If you thought that I could savage a bear before, you should have seen the things that I've done. The things that I've done, that I've had to do, Mordecai. I don't know what to think. Are the others around? They're not here, are they? I don't want
No,
them to
they're
see
not
me
far,
like
no.
this. And I don't want to hurt them.
They're not far.
Don't tell me where they are. I will continue on. I've been chasing after these damn kidnappers and... Ugh.
Did they give you any information as to what they want to before?
Let me check. No. No, they did not. They were talking something when they were taking him, but I was too weak, Mordecai. I was weak. I was dying in the snow, and I thought I did. There was blood everywhere. A lot of it was mine, even. But I woke up.
You're not alone. You can come back with us.
I don't think I can. You see, the hunger inside of me, it's so hard, Mordecai. It's so difficult to fight. I would probably savage Bright in an instant.
You're better than that.
I'd like to think so. But the things that I've done, Mordecai, I can't go back. I've eaten people. Well, their blood and their muscle and some of their skin. There's parts of them that I don't prefer eating. But I've eaten people. And
Innocent people?
yes, they were walking down the road. I was hiding in a bush, trying not to be seen by anyone. Ugh, but I was so hungry. I felt as if I was going to die. I came out of the bush and people reacted. They saw me, that I'm this big, terrible dragon, and they pulled a knife and it just... they fed me, Mordecai, and I felt better. I don't know if I'm more of a monster now than I have been before, or if this just simply made me what I was supposed to be.
I feel your pain.
And how could you? How could any of you feel my pain? No. You're best to run away. Let me redeem myself and find the child. I think I know where they're going, and I assure you, I have stopped at almost nothing, save for an occasional snack. To continue, to push.
We'll find them together. We're in the right track.
If you come with me, Mordecai, I cannot guarantee your safety. When I have one of my moods, it's never been more intense, Mordecai. I've never been so filled with strength and a lust for blood.
I cannot guarantee anything. But you can come back with us. You can redeem yourself that way.
No. No, not. I don't need to redeem myself to you. I need to redeem myself for the little boy. He looked up to me to train him and protect him. And I will find him, and I won't kill him.
How do you know?
Because I'm going to drink every last drop of the vampires that took him before I find the child.
A worthy goal. And I'm sneaking up behind him, actually.
Okay. Go ahead and roll another stealth. As you're kind of shifting tack, and he knows you're around. He's not. He's kind of actively looking for you. Yes, no, maybe so.
13. I'm still invisible, though.
Like he turns and he's looking through you. If you're around, don't come closer. I have yet to hunt for the night. I hope that I will find some snacks along the way. I'm on my way to Snamfi. That is where the child lives. That is where his family has a lot of money. And that is where I'm going to go. Catch up to me if you like, but I can't travel with you. Oh, the things I would do.
We're going in that same direction.
You can meet me there. I'll leave you trail markers. Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Can I trust you?
You can trust me to be me. A savage. Someone who's only known how to fight. Someone who's only known how to get stronger and stronger. You can trust me, outside of that, to not hurt the child.
No more innocence, yeah?
It's so hard, Mordecai! It's so hard! When the hunger hits, and it gnaws, and it makes you feel weak. So weak. I try, Mordecai, but I am strong. I am strong.
Animals work just as well.
I've had my fill. And I have tried to stick to animals as I can, but they don't provide what the blood of others provide. They help you. They make you stronger in different ways. The things that happen when you taste or drink. An animal will help in some ways, and it will keep your thirst away. But it won't make you stronger. Not as I wish to be strong. Now go, Mordecai. I think I need to hunt. It's a good moon for that tonight. Maybe I can find some rabbits. Or perhaps a dog. A stray dog would work. Yes.
If any innocents end up on the trail, I will kill you.
If I am to eat someone, it would only be in defense of myself.
No innocence. Only in self-defense.
Only. I will try, Mordecai. I will do everything I can. I will even try here to be stronger. But I can't tell you what's down the road. I can only make wishes. Now, Mordecai, I need to hunt. For myself, and I need to find the child. Perhaps I'll see you in Snamfi. And he looks around, once more kind of around you, and then he starts running off.
Oh, boy. And so I make my way back towards the group.
Okay. I don't know, so it'll take you a little bit longer to get back, but you're still invisible, and you're gonna make it back within an hour, from being able to so very expertly track the scent, and having this interaction didn't take that long. You end up finding your way back to the camp. By the time that you do, he and Ha are hobbled. There's presumably a campfire. Some food is being cooked. It's one wagon, but you've managed to circle the wagon in some fashion. You can reveal yourself as you will.
Yeah, I'm not being sneaky about it. I just come up to the group.
Okay. So the grass starts parting, and Mordecai speaks.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Jade speaks, and she's back in her normal form, shaking, holding a familiar cask.
I found Tazrae.
Is he dead?
Fluffy, I'm not getting anything from you.
I was on mute because it was a really long scene and I had to cough. Yeah. So hi. How's Tazrae? What?
He's definitely turned.
I mean, we knew that, but no.
As in, he's definitely gone down a darker path than me.
But I mean, well, he didn't have us. He didn't have the group. That's what's helping.
I tried convincing him to come over, and he wouldn't.
So you left a blood-crazed predator out in the wild.
I did tell him that if he's gonna leave trail markers, if that makes any sense. He's gonna help us get to Tiba, but he wanted to go it alone. How could I stop him?
So, I mean, when you say darker, how much darker?
he's definitely had more as far as like human or like people blood.
Do you think that drinking humanoid blood makes you eviler? Because you haven't drunk very much. I mean, you drank a troll and then some animal blood and then just a drop to help find Tiba, which, I mean, you have to make sacrifices sometimes to do the things that have to be done. But he didn't. Do you think that that's what makes him turn bad?
I don't know. I'm definitely not willing to go down that path. I'm as much as it helped. I'm not drinking blood from any of you again.
Mordecai, you sound shaken.
Yeah, I mean, I was there by myself, and he's kind of a big and scary dude. I had a thought to just end him right there, but I don't think I could have.
And we might have to fight him either along the way or when we rescue Tiba, because, I mean, if he's dark, he might not to Tiba first. And then what? Do you think he would just hand him over to us? He probably wouldn't. And also, if we get to Tiba first, he might catch up to us. Tazrae. But
He's only going to be a night ahead of us.
One night is all it takes. And we are left now with a terrible burden. A terrible, terrible burden where as Jade starts speaking and she starts to descend into mumbles before you hear a tree branch being ripped off, and Jade starts to walk out, and you can see her with this flint dagger that she carries start to scrape off the bark. Terrible, terrible burden.
What would you have had me do?
You did the right thing. You can't just turn and kill your friend just because, I mean, just because it looks like him, and I mean, we all know that it's not really him anymore, but I mean, and you can't just kill your friend. It's too hard.
It wears his face as an insult. It speaks with his tongue flapping about as a mockery to life. It continues, and it's shaken one of its own. How terrible must it become before we say no more? How far is it excusable for one innocent? 5. A town. A city. How far? What's the number, right?
I don't mean to say that it's okay. I just mean to say that I understand why Mordecai couldn't fight him right now. But if he's actually gone bad and we catch up to him, then he's just another vampire in the end.
Right now it seems that way.
Then we need to be prepared to exterminate him. Not another option. Giving more option, giving him more time, puts more at risk. More gears go out of alignment, the more need to be replaced, and the more we are all going to need to rectify the situation. No more. I will have no more.
How you see it, the vampires that take over are like gears in the world that are turning in the right direction.
They are not a part of this world. They are supposed to pass on. They are supposed to have been gone. They don't serve their purpose anymore. The wolf serves its purpose. The bat serves its purpose. This is a corpse that does not stop walking or hungering. It needs to be burned. It needs to be purged. Like a cancer.
And you feel the same about me?
Yes!
Oh no. Oh no.
And when your time comes, and if my time comes, I expect the same. Until then, my work is not done. My work can never be done until my last days, when I break and must be cast aside and replaced with another. And then it will continue. This work must continue. There is no exceptions to this. There is no other method. And to continue to hope and plead as though fate will mystically offer you some form of salvation after the lives you take, after the homes and families you destroy, after one creation, a perpetual failure, removing more and more pieces, forcing more and more replacements. How many more lives must be living in misery because of false hope? How many, Mordecai? How many do you think? Because the longer we continue debating it, the more we do. And we can put a number on it. This is not abstraction. This is fact. Unless you grab the shovel and start digging the holes yourself, just to keep count.
Brrrr. Brrrr. Peggy
It's
Sue.
at this point that Mordecai just kind of walks away from Jade.
Maybe, I mean, I see where you're coming from. So when you talked about your work not being done, gonna be cast aside so that someone else can do the work, is that all you see? Just the work? You don't see yourself meaning anything? It's just what you do?
We are the legacies we leave behind. Your actions, my dear Bright, end up causing consequences. You try and hope that it is a seed that plants and it might grow into a strawberry bush or a peach tree. You hope that it'll end up growing and producing fruit, nourishing the world. But somebody will eventually have to plant a seed, be it by your hand or another's. But the seed must be planted. And that is all it is. We serve our purpose, the roles we are trying to fulfill. This conversation will happen 1,000 times, and as it has 1,000 before, perhaps more.
Oh.
And then we will do it again and again.
So if is only judged by what they leave behind, then, I mean, Mordecai's done nothing but good. And I think that's because he has us to keep him grounded and to remind us of the person that he's supposed to be, and not the ones that the vampires want him to be. But he doesn't have to be like the other vampires. He has a choice. As long as he can choose, then his gear turns whichever direction he chooses it to.
His gear stopped turning a long time ago. With that, Jade finishes the branch she has ripped off and looks at the sharpened stake, thrusting it into the fire to harden the wood, and just looks at it burning. She wonders why it is that Mordecai's face keeps screaming in the fire. Private thought.
Bright, with the things that you brought up in conversation, I would like you to roll an investigation as your own gears inside your noggin are turning and exploring different ideas.
The first one was just a practice roll.
Oh, oh, okay. So it's actually the 24 and not the 10. Well, so Mordecai has gone off to ponder, and he's done that before. In fact, you found him on the side of the Avalanche House in such a way. And you're pondering yourself, and especially over your own words, because I would believe that you would give precedence or credence to your own thoughts. You wouldn't have had them if they didn't mean something. That's a part of your gift, whether that's good or bad. And you did notice that when Mordecai drank your blood, and he still had the exposure to the sun while the sun was still up, the color of his emanation, or whatever you'd like to call it, did change. He did, in fact, throw off some pink sparkles instead of his normal kind of yellowish, like fiery, burny ones that perhaps Jade is, as her internal narration was going off, the type of fire or spark that he would normally do. And so, in a way, it would seem that there's some sort of... There might be a foundation to what you said. It's a little morbid, but even with that common expression of "you are what you eat," Mordecai consumed a part of you, and he then took a part of you into himself, which influenced him in some way. So what we're gonna do here is I got to get up and let's take about a 10-minute break. I have 1:40 a.m. So let's meet back here at 1:50, and we'll pick up at this campfire scene, at this sort of intense time of personal reflection, perhaps even putting clues together, and we'll go forward from there. So 10 minutes, everyone, and we'll get back to it.